Don't miss our discounted one-way fares. Fly with Eswatini Air this back-to-school season. Fly from Skopje to Johannesburg for only 1,170. Skopje to Cape Town, 1,985. Skopje to Harare from only 2,196 and Skopje to Durban, 1,200. Terms and conditions apply. Call us today or visit our website to book your back-to-school flight. Eswatini Air. Everyone must fly.
A very good evening and warm welcome to Eswatini TV News at 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ndoguhle Masubu and your sign language interpreter is Zamanzi Manze. Let's take a look at the news making headlines tonight. His Majesty King Mzali III has commissioned the regiments to weed the Imfabandu Royal Field on Friday. The Deputy Prime Minister's office is currently translating documents into Braille to ensure that the visually impaired are able to read them. Premier League and Andama Cup Management Committee member Polycarp Dlamini says Somhlolo National Stadium has been officially opened for Andama Cup games only at the moment. Well, let's get straight into the news in detail. His Majesty King Mzali III has commissioned regiments to weed Imfabandu Royal Fields on Friday. The latest development follows the successful weeding of Mananga Royal Field.
The regiments weeded Mananga Royal Field as commanded by His Majesty the King on Wednesday. The weeding of the royal fields is on its second day. For the thousands of Tingaja who are also partaking in the royal assignment, serving His Majesty is a lifelong commitment and a sacred, unbreakable vow.
Njengoba sihlangene nje lana side emkhosini wenkosi ummemo lomkhulu la nkosi lana nje sijabulela kakhulu inkosini ayisibitile sitakiyo ngalokhulu kusheshsha sifike enkosini yethu ngoba siyithanza kakhulu.
Bayethe wona waphakathi silosikhulu sibonga ibalambu sikhona into ekukhanyisa ehlathini sikahlatshwa amanyeva sikalunyati inyoka bayethe wona waphakathi
bala naso sikawothi wena waphakathi silosikhulu ngwenyamandvuna awusesivele sikiyo umkhosi lomkhulu lapho khona sihlakula khona emasime ngwenyama sithokote kakhulu siyahlabelela kumnanzi kunjeyana nje sithi nje siyamthanda kakhulu lomuthe amen.
A young regiment expressed gratitude to His Majesty through well-polished praises dedicated to the King.
njengoba phicena ababogubha phasi nabo manzi emvula laba ngasayibuku nokuyibuka ke inkhweleche nkaba ukaba mahlokohla chamle ngudzi yakithi yabe kwangisobhuza laba ngathi nabayihlaba igcwa lonke emahlahle mhlambelo stimela sakithi asigijimisa shashashabla siye sayozabule emagesi angale ngaphesha kamzilikazi hani bonke Sathana salemane nemchawula njengoba ke nonchawula ngempano lezulu ngakho setife nathi bempungeni ngumvemvu wakithi waselisaseni wehlulekise mange madvodza oyethe wena phakathi.
Tens of thousands of regiments participated in the weeding of the royal field. They put on such a spectacular show as they remarkably marched back to Litsitsini royal residence. From the royal field, the regiments walked past Mahlanya in a blistering pace such that it took them an hour to reach the royal residence. Upon their arrival, they were warmly welcomed by His Majesty the King inside the Kekli Baya, where they danced with His Majesty before the King commanded them to start weeding Fabantu Royal Field on Friday.
naye emva kwakhe ithi kusasa emva abantu.
On the news, I am Sandile Makanya, reporting from Eswatini Royal Residence.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office is currently translating documents into Braille to ensure that the visually impaired are able to read them. The Director of Social Welfare, Maize, said this when he explained what Eswatini is doing to help people with visual impairments as the world celebrates the International Braille Day.
As the world celebrates the National Braille Day every year on the 4th of January, Eswatini has not been left behind. The National Association of Persons with Visual Impairment Eswatini says government has made great efforts to be inclusive to the visually impaired.
We are now transiting to a modern technology whereby we are now using computers to print, and we have got embossers to convert to Braille, so that a person with a visual impairment can also read using his or her hands. But otherwise, we have got the so-called challenges that we still have 3 schools that have resource centers for the blind, which are namely Embashen, Inisweni, of course St. Joseph's. Then it is still a challenge because these schools are very far from many of our students.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office has said it is doing a lot to support people with visual impairment, as important documents like the Constitution, the National Disability Act of 2018 and the Disability Action Plan, to name a few, have been translated into Braille. The Director of Social Welfare, Maize, continues to say the office has other plans for helping the visually impaired.
Ngingabhekisa nje ukuthi umthethosisekelo welive, iconstitution yelive laKangwane, nayo seyinterpretiwe ukuthi ibe available ku-Braille. Nalamanye ke key documents, for example nje lafaka ekhathi i-Disability Act of 2018 lengumthetho lobuka ku-address ama-issues abantu labakhubatekile event kaNgwane ukuthi nawo sesu-interpretiwe ukuthi ube available ku-Braille.
The National Association of Persons with Visual Impairment Eswatini has said the visually impaired constitutes about 42% of people living with disabilities, who stand at over 170,000. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Giyani Msibi, Mbabane.
Seamstresses who are housed at Sedco in Mbabane says parents and schools have already started purchasing school uniforms in readiness for the opening of schools. Some say they went for holidays with a pile of orders.
Schools will be opening soon for the 2024 academic year. Some parents have already started buying school uniforms. Seamstress housed at Sedco in Mbabane say their customers have started coming in numbers ordering school uniforms.
So far. Kona uthi sisabya ngama-holiday kodwa nje siyababona abadala bayangena lapha nalapha. Utitshela kwethu sititshelile ukuthi sidaba khona. Singadi-ke kodwa nje sidimisele ukuthi siba-attend abadala, sibanakekele, sibathungele ngendlela yabo. Ngokunjalo sihambe vele sesivele sesigear up kule tinto ukuthi vele in fact sesisheshe sicale vele ukulungiselela. Because lokunengi batakhanza ukuthi sekuredi vele.
Ama-customer lamanengi vele preferisha lokuthi etenyalo kungakavulwa letikolo because bese kuba nesiphithiphithi kakhulu.
They say they went for the holidays with a pile of orders and they are ready to deliver. Nomfundo Simelane, a parent, say she saw it fit and necessary to buy school uniform as early as now before it gets busy.
Angifunde siphithiphithi nasekuphithitela kakhulu ukhanza naleti into ukuthi setiphelile. So ngibone ukuthi ngcono ukuthi ngivele ngijime nje. Batali basengakaholi. Ngivele ngite ngizothenga le uniform ekucaleni. The
seamstress at Sedco in Mbabane say they are working around the clock to satisfy their customers and deliver. Reporting Kiani Msibi, Mbabane.
The National Malaria Control Program will be scaling up malaria elimination programs this season as the country usually records a rise in malaria cases during the end of the festive holidays. This was said by Malaria Program Officer Quintin Dlamini.
Ministry of Health usually records a peak in malaria cases during the end of the festive holiday as some of Eswatini are coming back from international travels and the country is recording high rainfalls. The National Malaria Control Program Officer Quintin Dlamini says they will be scaling up malaria elimination programs.
We are currently having 176 cases. Our year starts from July to June. And we're looking at actually having the cases for last year, if not, but far below the number that we had last year. Of course, there are challenges, as you have rightly said it. We have had so much in terms of rains, and there is a lot of stagnation of water, and that's very good for breeding of mosquitoes. And of course, normally during the months of December and January. In January, that is when those who have been out of the country come back. And when they come back, of course, they come back infected. And in turn, they also infected the local population. So that's how, the spread of the disease takes place. But then we are ready for whatever eventualities, because we have 3 teams now in the field that are spraying of about 20 or more each. The other team is in Boronjeni as we speak now. The other one is in Lomasha. The other one is around in Kuzoni area there. And so basically we are on top of the game so far as spraying. We just request the public to support us by availing themselves so that we can be able to spray. The coverage so far is very good because we are above 90%.
The Ministry of Health says Eswatini recorded 839 malaria cases during the last malaria season with 246 imported cases. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza, Manzini.
World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Maize encourages African countries to accelerate cervical cancer elimination programs. The director said this in a press release in commemoration of the World Cervical Cancer Awareness Month.
January at Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and Dr. Maize, who is the World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, in a press statement, said WHO African region joins other WHO regions in marking this month to promote the 3 key messages for this year's campaign: to be informed, get screened, and get vaccinated. She says in 2020, and the WHO Africa region, 100,000 women developed cervical cancer, and approximately 70,000 of these women died, which is 21% of cervical cancer mortality globally. The regional director says the high rates of cervical cancer cases in the region shows that there are major gaps in knowledge, awareness of the disease, and access to screening. Coming to Eswatini, according to the Eswatini National Cancer Control Unit, the country recorded a rise in cervical cancer cases in 2022, with 354 women diagnosed compared to 278 cases recorded in 2021. The report also indicates that 2020 saw the highest number of cervical cancer cases recorded since 2016. 2022 also saw the rise in all cancer cases in Eswatini, as over 1,000 cases were recorded, yet 2017 to 2019 also saw an increase in cancer cases in Eswatini. To mitigate the cervical cancer burden, the Kingdom of Eswatini has joined 27 African member states in rolling out human papillomavirus vaccination. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza, Babane.
The Eswatini Environment Authority Information and Communication Officer Belusile Mhlanga asked members of the public to report people who dump litter illegally, either to the Environment Authority or to municipalities. She says the festive holidays have seen an increase of illegally dumped garbage.
Many people visited their friends and relatives over the festive holidays. Some are still on holidays, which saw an increase in illegal disposal of garbage or litter. The Eswatini Environment Authority Communications Officer Belusile Mhlanga pleads with the nation to desist from illegal dumping of waste.
As we wind down the festive season, we've observed with concern a lot of illegal dumping of waste, as we know that most people had activities that generated a lot of waste. We would like to appeal to the people of Eswatini that we still need to keep our country clean. We should desist from disposing waste in areas that are not designated for waste disposal. If you've generated a large amount of waste, please approach municipalities next to you and request for permission to use their disposal facilities to dispose the waste. We've also observed with concern some of the companies that go into the rural areas or even the peri-urban areas to dispose their waste. We would like to appeal to anyone who sees such an incident to ensure that they take maybe the number plate of the car that is doing this crime and even take photos if it is safe for them to do so, because we need to ensure that we enforce the law and we keep our environment clean, especially our communities at all times.
She further emphasizes that everyone must report illegal dumping with them or with relevant municipalities. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Nelsiwe Nhlangamandla and Vumenkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The number of farmers who have benefited from the Farm Input Subsidy Program this financial year 2023-2024 has decreased compared to last financial year. The National Maize Corporation says this decline has been caused by that in the year 2022, government was able to accommodate more farmers after receiving funding from the African Development Bank.
The National Maize Corporation states that Eswatini need about 143,000 metric tons of maize every year. However, in the year 2022, farmers in Eswatini only produced 85,000 metric tons. We spoke to the communications officer on the subsidy program.
The number of beneficiaries who have benefited from the system is 6,618. Compared to the beneficiaries from last year, which was at 11,478 farmers who benefited. This decline in numbers is caused by the fact that the previous year government had support from African Development Bank, but this year we did not have that support.
The tractor project manager Mtobisi Dlamini says most farmers have had their fields plowed this season.
We had 50,458 hours paid by the end of December 2023, and out of those hours, 48,438 were serviced, and currently we have a balance of 2,020, which means tractors are readily available to the farmers. They can come and pay. It's 400 Malangan per hour. It's paid at Eswatini Bank and through Momo Pay.
The National Maize Corporation states that over 35,000 metric tons of maize was imported last season. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vumenkosi Nzinisa, Matapa.
Let's take a look at the financial indicators.
It can be.
In our sports news, Premier League and Ingwenyama Cup Management Committee member Polycarp Dlamini says Somhlolo National Stadium has been officially opened for Ingwenyama Cup games only at the moment, though discussions are to take place to look at options of using the facility for other local football tournaments. Dlamini was speaking during the tour of the stadium ahead of the grand opening of the Ingwenyama Cup this coming Sunday at Somhlolo.
Ahead of the return of the inaugural Ingwenyama Cup grand opening matches at Somhlolo National Stadium on Sunday, Ministry of Sports, National Football Association, the Premier League and the Management Committee of the Ingwenyama Cup tournament told the stadium to look at the changes made in the recent months when the stadium was closed for renovations in order to meet CAF and FIFA standards. Premier League of Eswatini executive member, who also happens to be a member of the management committee of the tournament, Polycarp Dlamini, He says the stadium has been allowed to be used for only Ingonyama Cup games at the moment, but further discussions are to be held to allow other local games such as MTN League games to be hosted at the venue. President Masugu, who speaks on behalf of the tournament, called the supporters to come in their numbers and witness the grand opening on Sunday. Sunday headline fixtures at the venue will see Lozita Spurs facing Babane Swallows, while in the second game, Pickspeak Black Swallows will play Babane Highlanders. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera with Mfanifutu Bembe, Lobamba.
Eswatini Motorsport Association Executive Member Nhlanhla Maphanga says applying to be a member of the International Federation of Automobile, which is in charge of the sport, will positively benefit the country. He says Eswatini will be able to participate in international competitions.
In 2024, we had we're still considering how many races we'll have for the year as part of the championship, and this is taken in light of the fact that we now have a new relationship with the FIA members of the Mozambique race crew. And we also have people that we're talking to in South Africa, so we also want to try and feature a couple of races there. So we're a bit concerned how many races we'll have locally to allow for some of our racers to participate in the international races. With regards to the membership to FIA, we have submitted our application. We have received notification of receipt of application, but they said to us in the beginning of this year they will be getting back to us with regards to the revised form and whatever else they need from us, because our Mozambican counterparts are assisting us that by June we then become a recognized member, observer member of FIA, which you serve as an observer member for 2 years, after which you become a full member of the FIA. Certainly the benefits are with equipment. The equipment is very expensive, what we use for races, for sprints, and anything else. So being members of the International Federation means that we'll get that technical assistance from them. And not only that, we'll be moving forward to hopefully, if we can, develop a racetrack in the country which will host international events as well, and that obviously we know that will bring back some money into the economy. There are other races where you don't really need a racetrack, like the normal rally races. Then obviously we would be talking to the ministries, the various ministries, to see if we can host an international rally race in the country again.
All right, that's how we reach the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we go, here's a recap of the top stories. His Majesty King Mzali III has commissioned the regiments to wait the Imfabandu Royal Field on Friday. The Deputy Prime Minister's office is currently translating documents into Braille to ensure that the visually impaired are able to read them. Premier League and Ingonyama Cup Management Committee member Polycarp Dlamini says Somhlolo National Stadium has been officially opened for Ingonyama Cup games only at the moment. Well, that's it from us. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the weather forecast from all of us here at Eswatini TV. It's good night.
Tonight on your favorite sports show, Temidlalo, we will sit one-on-one with Cycling Association President Zwide Nxumalo to talk about the new cycling club in the country. We will have a tour of the Somphla National Stadium that will host the grand opening of the 2024 Ingonyama Cup tournament from this coming weekend.
Ingonyama Cup, the game is on.
And lastly, alongside our in-house analyst Ndadla Mini, we will analyze the last 32 Ingonyama Cup fixtures for this weekend. Temidlalo, sidlala kamnandi.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder.
A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 762222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali.